What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Tech with Solutions. So thank you guys again for joining us for another Sunday Stock Talk. I'm going to go ahead and let people start tuning in live. And again, we do this every Sunday, 6:30 Mountain Standard Time. So I can't thank you guys enough for putting time aside and joining us. Pretty much what Sunday Stock Talks consist of. It's last week's trading, this week, what to expect, what I did good, what I did bad. It's pretty much sharing my best practices and sharing my mistakes. I'll go over a couple in a sense suggestions that you guys want me to do. So pretty much I perform technical analysis on a series of videos or stocks, I apologize, that you guys want me to perform. And in doing so, again, I just explained my thought process. But again, the thing that we do best within Tech with Solutions is share best practices, share mistakes, and effort to promote growth. We did break a little bit over 13,000 members worldwide, so I can't thank you guys enough for that. We did break a little bit over 11,000 subscribers within our YouTube platform. So again, that's just also that much greater. But let me go ahead and get rid of it. So we have now people watching live. There's been a lot of talk. JDST, I apologize, JNUG, for the past 2 weeks has consistently from the $8 mark it's been dropping, right? And it's been dropping to lows of I believe $4 and I want to say 12 cents, and then it hit its high at 480, so kind of a resistance point. And then JDST now has been showing signs of hitting its peak and is now seeing a downward trend. Pretty much these are almost inverse ETFs. They are going to be going through a reverse stock split, and I believe they already did. So pretty much instead of buying one share for like $4.12, now it's going to be 4 times more than what it originally cost. But I think that might actually dilute, in a sense, the overall value of that ETF, and we could actually see a downward trend. And again, the thing that we do best is being able to identify a support, day trade it, as in, we ride it up and sell it at the resistance. So that's something that I think looking forward to this upcoming week is something that we're probably going to touch base on. I do want to dedicate some time to answer some of your guys' questions. So let me go ahead and start doing that. If you guys have any questions or any suggestions, technical analysis will be performed at the end of this Sunday Stock Talk. But if you guys want me to perform or answer any questions, feel free to let me know right now. Not too sure if my thing is actually loading. It's actually lagging a little bit. I do apologize for that. But I am going to answer one question that was actually sent out to me within the group chat platform. And that was by one of our buddies. His name was, he pretty much asked me, how is it that I get started? And I was like, all right, we'll gather, 5 questions that you want me to answer, and then we'll go from there. So I said, make sure that you come up with the 5 biggest questions for starting out. His first question was, how do I get into stocks? Second question was, what's a good stock? And then when should I buy and sell a stock? How much money should I invest? And then how should I stay in a stock, or should I stay in a stock, right? So answering the first question, how should I get into a stock? So I think that's asking, how do you buy into a stock? Well, there's these brokerage companies, and when choosing to get in, you buy a certain amount of shares that you have in your account. So you have to have, let's say, there's $1 per share, right? So you have $100, so you can buy 100 shares. So you buy it in hope of selling it for more than the price that you bought it for, and you go to. But we've made a video specifically for that, and I did let you know. The one that I didn't say that I made a video for is like, how should I stay in a stock? And that's obviously a common question, like when do you know when to sell a penny stock? And it really comes down to, we use different indicators like RSI, EMA to indicate that it's at its peak, and being able to identify that resistance. So again, if you don't have access to that, the Thinkorswim platform does offer, in a sense, a free service for you as long as you're a United States citizen. So it pretty much, you can use these different indicators to identify a better buy point and better sell point. And overall, being able to do that, it allows you to have your platform or your computer set up and, everything going on there. And then you have a whole separate device, again, your phone, that you can actually execute your buys and your sells. So it actually makes it a little bit more efficient, at least in my standpoint. So should I stay in the stock? That's something that you should always be able to identify. I mean, you should, before buying in a stock, you should know where you're buying, where you're selling, and where you're cutting your losses. And that's truly how you're going to be able to identify, a good stock. We've come up with the prime berry picks, which is almost a checklist of a criteria that you as an investor come up with of what a penny stock needs to meet before it's qualified as a stock that you choose to invest in. And then creating that checklist and only trading stocks that meet that criteria, and then having a plan and doing so every single time you guys trade. Overall, the amount of success that you guys will experience compared to the average, penny stock investor that really just jumps on in and goes based on someone else's opinion, you'll overall, experience a way higher rate of success because, you're planning, you're learning, and you're a lot more, in a sense, organized to be successful when it comes to trading. So that's pretty much it for that one. I do want to thank you guys again. I know this week my uploads have been out of whack. And what I mean by that is I always upload like my daily recap by around 12 to 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then my helpful videos 5:30 Mountain Standard Time because I had a bunch of finals this week for my school. It was just ridiculous on my work schedule, my school schedule, everything that I had going on. My girlfriend moved out, and I was just helping her get all ready to, since she's a student here, but then she goes back home during the summer to California. I had to assist with that. So I do apologize for, again, the inconsistency within my channel, but I hope that we can get back into rhythm this upcoming week. So I do appreciate, all the support, and you guys have been extremely, helpful. So there is one question. Ryan O'Donnell is asking GoPro. That is one that I was talking about, and pretty much it took a really big drop. And that's definitely one that I'm going to be talking about. So I'll go ahead and write that down, and we'll go ahead and perform a technical analysis on that. So thank you for that, Ryan. Ricky, what do you think about GoPro? Oh, yeah, that's by Air Georgia. He's asking the same thing. And then Chris Campbell's asking for CYTR. We'll go ahead and follow up with that. Do you usually build your watch list mainly in the morning or at night? So overall, I already have a watch list set up. Really the way that I filter out stocks, I think that's what you're kind of getting to. Like, how do I decide on what stocks to invest in? Is I perform a series of technical analysis. It really comes down to, my discipline when it comes to dedicating 30 minutes every day, Monday through Friday, or Sunday, I guess, through Thursday, to dedicate 30 minutes the night before I'm actually trading, and dedicate that to perform technical analysis on the stocks that are within my watch list, and then I'll have about 10 to 15 stocks, and then I'll have, again, my criteria list. So when the market opens, if there's not all the stocks are going to meet that criteria, so by then I probably just have 2 to 3 stocks, and then I go based off what has the highest volume, and then I mainly stick to those. And then that's why I announce within the TechBook Solutions pre-market movers group chat. That's when I announce 2 to 3 different stocks that I'm watching. And it was, these stages of, filtering first, my entire watch list down to 10 or 15, and then performing, another analysis that meets my criteria during pre-market hours, making sure that it's opening and reacting the way that I'm, in a sense, predicting. And then I go ahead, set up a plan for the 3 or the 2 that I'm going to be focusing on that day. And then I stick to it. And then again, it's all repeating. So that's pretty much my whole game plan. So what are the official rules of this challenge? We're starting with $5,000 and trading $1,000 a day, or starting with 1,000 and doing a margin count. This is by TJ Austin. So he's pretty much asking because I'm guessing he's thinking of the with a $5,000, you're trading with $1,000 a day out of a 5-day period, or with a $1,000 margin count. Well, we're using the and again, you can do whatever it is that you guys want to do. I'm choosing to do a margin account with the $1,000 within the Robinhood platform, and you can only day trade 3 days out of a 5-day period within that Robinhood platform. And I incorporated that into this challenge, meaning that you only need to hit 2.33% growth per day, 3 days out of a week. 4 times a month and 12 times a year to actually hit this $1,000 to $20,000 growth. But again, this challenge is just in a sense to motivate you, and I created this the $1,000 just not checklist, but Excel sheet, so you guys can keep track, right? It gives you a little box so you can actually adjust the numbers yourself. And if you're actually starting with $5,000 margin account, then you start with 5,000. I think you'll end up with like 150 or 175,000, not too sure. But again, it comes down to how disciplined you are and how realistic you are with your trading, and just always locking in the 2.33% profit per day. And if you guys are new members or current members, take a look at our Facebook page. You can see a bunch of people locking in 2.33% profit a day. There's actually, he's a military veteran. He tagged me and then he posted within the Facebook platform that he actually hit on average. Overall, he hit like 7.99% growth within that first week, which is 1% or 0.99% more than what his actual target goal is to stay on track for this $1,000 challenge. And again, it's him locking in 2.33% growth plus per day. And that's really just it. Cutting losses short, locking in profit, and doing it every day that you guys trade. And that gives you, in a sense, 2 days to rest or to dedicate to something else, right? Whatever it is that you guys choose to dedicate your time to. But yeah, that's pretty much the challenge. Okay. How do you go about choosing your watch list? So pretty much I find, exposure to be a huge reason on how I decide to act or add stocks to my watch list. And I add really just any stock that is above 50 cents and below $30 to my watch list that sees more than 100,000 or sees over 100,000 volume within 2 days. And that's really just it. So I just like seeing healthy volume. I like seeing the stocks within my margins of just price points, and then I just add it. Doesn't mean that I have to trade it, but then I can filter it out later. But I don't think too much about actually adding it. I just add it and then make the decision later once I'm filtering through these series of stocks. This is by Andres Enriquez. He's like, can I get a shout out? What is your favorite stock? Well, there's no favorite stock. I guess my favorite stocks are the ones that make me money, but also the ones that I learn from, right? Although sometimes I make, mistakes, I think really looking back and, cutting my losses short is something that I'm, really known for, to being a little bit more conservative with my trades. But I think, identifying these losses and not just taking the losses, but actually, learning from them and seeing how, I'd rather make these mistakes right now than later on down the road, 5-10 years down the road when I'm trading with, 15, whatever, $30,000 risk account every single time I trade, because then my losses would be so much greater later on. So I really try to make it as realistic as I can and as positive as I can. But that's it. Chase Henningbury says, will I be moving back to California after I graduate? Well, I have investment properties here, and I'm buying a couple more here. So I'm most likely I'm always going to have a place probably here in Arizona. But overall, I would like to eventually move back to California, as that's where a majority of, my family, my girlfriend's family is at. Alrighty. All right, so BJ Swings says, are you risking your whole account or a percentage? So if you guys watched a couple of my other trades when I was locking a little bit more than $250 worth of profit, I had that over a little bit over 25 initially, then over 30 by the end of the month, but initially over $25,000 to get or to avoid the PDT rule within Robinhood. But I would never risk more than 5%. I'm sorry, I would never risk more than $5,000. I would usually risk almost every single time $3,000 every single time I traded. But if it was more like, ETFs that I'm a little bit more familiar with, I would buy a little bit more average down or average up, at most $5,000. So yeah. Emma is reminding me about MTBC. Perfect. Thank you for that. Do you have swing trade criteria? That's by Brown Rabbit 8. That's definitely something that we're going to be coming up with, and I'm actually going to write that down. Thank you again for that. This is by Michael. He says, I've been spending 3 to 4 hours a day watching your videos. I've been learning almost ready to begin trading. I think it's been about a month. And I think that's really, I really like reading this. When people actually dedicate time first to learn and aren't so rushed to actually make things happen right away, and are willing to put forth the effort, the time. Again, one of the most valuable things in this world is your time, and to dedicate that time with actual no real reward, just knowledge, which is extremely valuable. But it's, again, it comes down to discipline, and actually learning and growing in the right process. And what I mean by that is, you don't just throw yourself into becoming a real estate agent. You learn and then you become one, right? I mean, some are naturally, born and they can, just learn everything super quick and get right into it. Again, if 90% of the people that invest in the stock market fail, what makes you think you're any different? I think realistically, putting yourself in that 90%, realistically seeing that, okay, I really have to do what everyone else really doesn't, and that's learn first and then execute. And that's something that we try to focus so much on and express how important it is learn first, do your simulation trading, which is paper trading, which is no real risk, getting your feet wet, start growing your account while you're doing the simulation trading. So by the time you've proven to yourself that you're a real investor, that you really know how to make money, then you can take the money that you've already saved and implement it into, in a sense, actually trading and seeing a return in that. And those processes, again, it's a very simple process, but what does it take? It takes time, and that's something that people are very impatient about and aren't very disciplined. So that is definitely, kudos to you, Michael. That's definitely something that I didn't do when starting out. So it just shows, how much smarter you are compared to me when starting out. So I can't thank you enough. And if you have any best practice or anything like that that you want to share, I encourage you to share with myself and, within all the members within TechBud Solutions. So appreciate that. Billy writes hearts, so thank you. Do I usually do my day trading within Robinhood? That's by Boss LA. Yes, Robinhood or Fidelity. So this is by Sam the Man. Says Donald Trump apparently plans to unveil a $1 trillion infrastructure spending plan this year. Do you think it's worth spending time to see what company would be a part of this? I think overall, again, the more you know, the better you'll do. I think knowledge is really, a huge component in being successful. So if I don't know anything about what he is talking about, that's definitely something that I'm going to be looking into. So I'm going to be writing it down. And again, I write my own notes down within these, or I try to, in a sense, jot in my head, try to remind myself of certain things, because not only am I learning or expressing kind of what I've learned this week, but I have, thousands of people that I'm networking with, and that's exposure for me as well. So I'm exposed to more opportunity and more potential. And is it wrong for me to want to learn from you guys as well? No, I think that's probably one of the best things that I've been able to learn from this, is to be open-minded and to, just never be narrow-minded about anyone else's suggestions. Doesn't mean that you have to go based on anyone else's opinion, but you as an investor have to dedicate your time and see if it's worth it. And then if it is, then maybe the, in a sense, knowledge that you learn from whatever it is that you're choosing to invest your time into can actually have a big payout. So someone says, hey, did you fix your flag in your room? I don't think so. So it's still with the, yeah, I think I actually need to turn around. So I'll go ahead and do that. How quick are the transactions in Robinhood? This is by ENWS. I think they're, really good. Very quick compared to anything else. I mean, it's pretty efficient. I know the timing or the real-time quotes are like a couple seconds delayed, but when it executes, I think it executes pretty quickly. This by Anthony Lopez. Says, locked in from Rhode Island, motivating us over here to climb the ladder of success. Appreciate that. Is Robinhood a good platform for beginners? What platform do you recommend for beginners, and what is a good amount to start with? And that's a very common question. So is Robinhood a good platform to start off with? Well, they make it, in a sense, very limited, very restrictive, because they don't offer a bunch of features. So I think in a sense, yes and no, but you'll see as you become a little bit more of an advanced trader. The reason it's so good is because you don't have to pay for commission. So you can start with a very low amount and get your feet wet and not have much to lose, right? Since you're not going to be, emptying your account so quickly because of all the commissions you're paying for. Now, is it ideal? Well, you still need to learn how to trade. So before even jumping into Robinhood, again, 100% you need to learn how to trade. Once you learn how to trade, is Robinhood good to start off with? Definitely. How much should you be starting off with? Well, how much are you willing to, in a sense, risk? How much are you willing to put out there and not be devastated to lose? And that really comes down to you and the type of in the position that you're in. Patrick just says, just wanted to say you're awesome for giving us all the information and teaching us from best practices. Patrick Stern, I can't pronounce your last name, and I talk to you all the time. But 100%, you are probably one of the most supportive members within Tech Solutions. So can't thank you enough, Patrick, for all the motivation that you give me and the just messages that we have going back and forth, so I can't thank you enough. But all right, that's no. So Enrique says, "Do you mind if I take notes?" Definitely. I think this is, I'm pretty much trying to read what everyone else is saying. I'm pretty much just in a sense a channel, and I don't know, like the voice for everyone right now speaking. And I think it's great for you guys to take notes, learn from it, and make sure you don't make the mistakes or any key points that we talk about. Make sure you write them down, and maybe they can help you out. So I'm gonna start getting right into it. I'm gonna be logging in right now to my Thinkorswim platform. So I do apologize for all the questions that are coming in right now, but I just want to make sure that we stay on track to actually finish the Sunday Stock Talk. This is by Alex. Says, been watching your videos for a while now. I've learned a ton of insider trading. I've been successful with paper trading, ready to start the real thing. Thanks a ton. That's really what it is. It really comes down to learning, simulation trading, paper trading, dedicating time to that without really seeing any real monetary return. And then, once you've proven to yourself that you've been successful, then, go for it. If you, in a sense, see the value in it, see the potential. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Again, I'm not doing anything special. I'm really just, in a sense, sharing from, how I did good and how I would do bad. And I kind of just share my stories to other people, since I talk to, hundreds of you every single day. And you guys tell me what works best for you. So in a sense, I just, say, or in a sense channel, in a sense what I learned from everyone else, and try to make sure that I express it the best I can to every single one of you. So again, it's nothing special. It really comes down to how do you become successful in anything. It's learning, like testing, and then executing, planning and executing. So I think those four things, that's, learning. Once you learn, then you can get your feet wet, right? And once you get your feet wet, then you can plan. So you can start growing your account, planning on that, learning and developing yourself as a trader, and then actually executing, actually risking or going in with your real money. So BN Fraser says, show us your biceps. I'm okay. Thank you, though. I don't. What the heck? If you were just saying flex, that's funny. I have never really gotten that. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen. I'm going to be talking now about certain stocks that you guys want me to perform technical analysis on. And the first one obviously was GoPro. So go ahead and start throwing. I'm gonna go ahead and start throwing all the different stocks you guys want me to do technical analysis on, and I'll start writing them down. I have GoPro right now. I have CYTR. I have MTBC, and then I'll do one on JNUG. So BJ swings drawing support and resistance tonight. Do you watch a few movements in the morning before jumping in? Yeah, definitely. I want to make sure that the volume is reacting the way that I thought it would. I want to make sure that the RSI indicator is still, in a sense, in the healthy or in more of that buy point, more oversold. So it's a better just buy, right, to sell it for a profit. And really just comes down to managing risk, making sure that every indicator that I'm watching indicates that it's a buy rather than a sell, to make sure that I'm getting in a good price. So it's really just it. So. All right, so AMD is a popular one, so we'll go ahead and do that. Bloombox says, I'm 16. Can you give me like steps to start trading? I'm Australian and I love watching live trades. I understand. Okay, so he's pretty much saying if I can do some live trades, I definitely don't mind doing that. Yeah, so we can definitely try to see if I can incorporate one of my live trades this week and maybe answer some of your guys' questions. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. So subscribe if you guys haven't already. So AMD is already, all right, MTRX keeps being thrown in there. Kind of by the same person. MTBC is already in there. We'll do BPMX. All right, guys, so we already have a good amount We have a total of 7, or we have, oh yeah, 7. So let's go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen. I have GoPro up already, and we'll get it done. All right, last question. Sebastian Meneses says, do you jump in immediately when the market opens, or do you wait a bit? That's actually something that I've talked about before, waiting for pullbacks, and the first 30 minutes being the most active, understanding that and making sure that I don't let that get into my head and jump into the hype. So it was actually the video talking about why is hype bad. So there's always those, within the first 30 minutes, there's those pullbacks that lead to huge red candlesticks. You want to make sure that you always have a plan when going in, but no, not always. I make sure that, like, before I actually jump in, that the support is, in a sense, supported during pre-market hours, and once the market opens, that it's showing upward momentum. And then in doing so, if it supports, if the support was at 1 and it's bouncing at that support and it's showing upward trend, then that's when I choose to jump in. So again, just using my different indicators like EMA, RSI, volume, and everything else that I have on my TD Ameritrade platform. So let me go ahead and start sharing my screen, but that's a good question. Alrighty, so this is pretty much GoPro. I'm going to get a little bit closer and actually do an analysis on these huge drops. We actually had a huge green day, and this is actually when I talked about that it went a little bit above $9, right? I saw that it was on an upward trend, hit above $9, and then all of a sudden took a huge dip from that $9 mark nearly all the way down to these low 20s. So it has a support at 820, and this is what I want you guys to focus on. This is why I think it's so important. This is what I call a pullback. Market was doing fine, but because it took such a dip, from this $9 mark, really, again, $9 being the support, fell below the support, and then all of a sudden there's this huge, red candlestick dropping all the way down to initially first at around, 840, and then hit lows of about 820. So it hit a high of about 860 throughout the day, and then came back down and again went back to the support at around 822. And this is definitely one that we were talking about getting into, and it really comes down to what's next. What's going to happen. So I'm gonna give me 1 second. I want to be able to draw trend lines. So let me go here. And this is what I want you guys to focus on. Again, we've identified, I'm going to get right there. We've identified that even after market hours, the support at 820 is supported, and it had an initial bounce at 820. Now there's a resistance, pretty much its peak, that it couldn't pass. And that's right here. That's around this 860 area, right? So understanding that that's the resistance, this is the support. So from 820 to 860, we have 40 cents of profit from an $8 stock or $8.20 stock. That's about almost 5%. So for this $1,000 challenge, realistically, is this one worthy of trading? Well, again, you want to make sure that you catch it on the rise. You may want to make sure that you have a plan when getting in. So what I'm going to be waiting for GoPro is when jumping in, I want to make sure that I see a bounce and an upward trend, that the RSI indicator, because right now it's showing more of a downward trend, that the RSI, again, is like around 30 to 35, meaning that it's indicating a good buy. That's one of my criteria, that it's showing upward momentum. And in doing so, that I want to make sure that the volume is pretty healthy. So the volume was, pretty good within the when it saw this rise. So again, volume is right here. It was in the couple thousands, right? Hit highs of about within this one in the 100,000s, and then really started slowing down, especially towards the end of the day. Started falling more into the couple thousands and not necessarily the tens of thousands, right? And I want to make sure that the volume is good. It's showing upward momentum, and my RSI indicators and EMA indicators are all indicating that it's a buy, and that the support at 820 is supported and showing that it's still valid. If it breaks below 820, I'm really going to take a step back and see where it's going to bounce and set up a plan then. But if it holds above 820 during pre-market hours and it starts to rise once the market opens, then that's definitely a good indication that it's on the rise. And you can see that there's a slight resistance here at 840, right? That it couldn't break above 840, and then that's what led to this downward trend. So understanding that is, if you hit 840 and it doesn't seem to want to go above, again, that's still 20 cents of profit for that's about 2%. So that's still solid profit. And when it comes down to, going in and then all of a sudden it going down and then actually, cutting your losses, then you have to identify, is it worth taking the risk, or would you rather just lock in the profits here at 840? So 840 being a resistance, and then 860 being a resistance, or around like 855. And then a support at 820. But this is definitely one that I'd say, keep your eyes on. And it's GoPro, so it's not necessarily a penny stock, multi-million-dollar company, but definitely has seen better days. So let me go ahead and move into the other one. So CYTR, it's definitely one that I've seen a lot of talk about. I don't necessarily like trading this one because of the actual value of it being below, $1, nearly being below the limit that I like trading. So it's almost below 50 cents. Has hit below 50 cents. But let's look a little bit further back, right? It's actually at a pretty low point based on what I see. Had a previous support around 42 cents. Actually, that was pretty much the low. Overall, this is definitely not a hold. I think the reason a lot of people have been talking about this was probably because of all this volume. Again, all this hype of this pump and dump that this thing saw from $4 or 40 cents to nearly, almost $1. That's huge. That's almost 100% profit. That is more than 100% because it went from 40 cents all the way up to almost $1. So that's more than 100% profit. But realistically, is that going to happen again? Well, realistically, as a day trader, you have to be as realistic as possible, and I wouldn't say so. I think you're more realistic to be able to catch the bounce from 50 cents to 55 cents seems to be a resistance. Do you guys see that? This being where the stock normally bounces off of, and then this being almost the peak. And like we say, old supports become new resistance levels. So it looks like this was coming on a downward trend, and then once it went below this 55 cents, and now struggled to go above it, and then it had that breaking point. This is definitely a trend that we've talked about before. When it tops out and then sees a downward trend, bounces here at 50 cents, a little bit below 50, and then struggles to break above 55 cents, and then is now just flatlining here at 50 cents, right? So now it really comes down to how the market opens. If during pre-market hours it holds above 50 cents, then that's a good indicator that it might see an upward trend. But make sure you cut losses short, because again, this being a 50-cent stock, you losing just 1 cent means you already lose 2%. So for those in the $1,000 challenge, this is definitely a high risk, high reward type of trade. So it comes down to you on how knowledgeable and how much you're willing to risk. So again, just make sure you have a plan every time you trade. Identify a good buy point, good sell point, use different indicators to do so, and have a plan on where you're going to be able to cut your losses. But definitely, one to keep your eyes on. So I'm going to go ahead and write this one down. Okay, and there's a couple of you that are actually saying that you guys agree with me that, yeah, CYTR was just a one and done, pump and dump. That's funny. I kind of like that, how he phrased it. But yeah, it really comes down to what you feel comfortable with. Don't force your trades. Don't follow anything, and definitely don't force it. Don't chase anything. So do what, in a sense, you see potential in, and have a plan, set up a plan, and stick to it. So what I see right here is, if you guys see that it was nearly at 90 cents and then broke above this, 125. If I go a little bit further back, I'm most likely going to see that that was probably a resistance. Yeah. So that's just what I figured. And it's a very common trend. Old resistance become new supports. Now it was bouncing at that support at around 150, and that was an old resistance. So what's going on now, right? It's kind of seen a downward trend within the past couple of days, and it used to trade almost with no volume down here at the 29 cents. So this is definitely one to, I wouldn't necessarily say hold whatsoever, because all of a sudden it could see a huge dip. Volume has increased, but not much. It has increased a lot, but I wouldn't say for the gut. I say, it's not consistently seeing an upward trend. It's more showing, a downward trend. Has a support currently at around 125, 120. And then a resistance is going to be at where the old support was, which was around 150. So I'm going to get a little bit closer so I can see this a little bit better. Yeah, so it looks like it has a support resistance like every, what is that? Every 10 cents. Yeah. That's totally fine. So again, if you catch it at bounce, great. So it looks like it's most likely going to be bouncing at around 120. So 120 to 130 realistically isn't bad. That's nearly your 10%. So that's huge, especially for a day trade. But again, is it worth risking jumping in and stop lossing out? Because you want to make sure you cut losses short on this one, because if it breaks below that $1 mark, I can almost guarantee you that it's going to see a downward trend, just based on my analysis on how it saw this huge spike. It was a gapper. Once it broke, probably this resistance here at about 61 cents, saw a huge, increase in volume spike, again, a pump and dump, broke the resistance, and now if it drops, it's been breaking every support. So understanding that it's most likely going to break the support, but maybe you can get lucky and squeeze in a couple dollars. So make sure you have a plan and cut losses short on that one. Now our big boy JNUG, seeing lows of about 414. I actually didn't. 414. That was a couple days ago. That's when it had its huge rise when I shut it out. Hit highs of about 480 and broke a little bit above that actually on Friday. So I'm going to get a little bit closer to that. And during aftermarket hours, that's great. I actually didn't perform the technical analysis myself, but it looks during aftermarket hours, it held above 450, which is great. It's still showing signs of upward momentum. What I mean by that is it closed or opened at about 437, and it closed at 450 and held above 450, hit highs of almost like 460, and that's great. Showing signs of upward trend. So hopefully we can get above that $5 mark this time and start seeing an upward trend. But again, when this one goes up, JDST goes down. So just know that. So I'm really going to be looking for it to open or during pre-market hours and hold above 450, and that would be a good indicator that it's going to see an upward trend and maybe a good trade from 450 to hopefully $5. But again, we really don't know. And if it breaks below 450, then we'll probably be back where we were and trying to catch it at every bounce that it's had around 420 and cutting losses since the support right now within the past couple of days, the lowest point is 414. Cut losses probably anything lower than that because just it shows to be pretty low. That's pretty much it. So AMD. All right. Let's see. This is definitely one that has gone through a reverse stock. So it's overall, it's not at the highest point, but RSI indicator kind of shows it right now. If we do a minute, where does it show? Yeah, around 47. It looked like right here was definitely a better buy point. The RSI indicator was at lows of about 27. And obviously that was a solid bounce, so meaning that it was oversold. So that was a good buy point. Established its resistance, really just that 1340. But again, margins for profit realistically, for day trading with this $1,000 challenge, you need to lock in 2.33% growth profit. Again, this being a $13 stock, you need to see $1.30 to hit 10%. So you nearly need to hit, more than 30% growth to even hit or get close to that 2% growth. So realistically, I just don't see that, especially with the low volume that it's been seen for the type of high price stock it is compared to the penny stocks, right? So it's not a horrible buy, right? Because of these solid bounces that it's had, but is it worth your risk for your day trade, or is it worth your day trade from $13 to $13.52? Well, that's more than 30 cents, so possibly, but again, it's catching it at that lowest point and then riding it up, which is not always something that you're going to do. So realistically, probably not going to hit that 2% growth within that specific stock. All right, wow, that one took quite a dip. Lost 30%, my God. Whoa, now I see why you guys were talking about this one. Holy moly. You see, that's why I love this. I actually didn't perform a technical analysis on this within the past couple of days, and this huge gap that it sees down, what do we see a lot of times with these specific, trades or stocks? We see, a cup trend. So we're most likely going to see a bounce and then, an upward trend. At least that's the hope. That's the hope, that the outcome that we would like to see. But realistically, it's about identifying the support, letting it set its support, and being patient, right? Just continuing to follow up with MTRX. So this is definitely one that I'm going to add to my watch list and see when it actually bounces. because although right now the RSI indicator is showing a good buy, it showed that it was a good buy, even at this point over here. And it's been consistently going down anyways. So you want to make sure that you catch it at the bounce. That's why we have these other, trends to identify bounces. And hopefully we can catch a bounce soon, see an upward trend, and then that's when we can decide to jump on in and hopefully ride it up. But this is definitely one that I'll be adding to my watch list. And last one is going to be BPMX, 82 cents. Definitely lower cap stock. It's kind of high. RSI indicator shows it to be around 40. Hit its resistance at 89 cents, almost 90 cents. So 90 cents, I'm guessing, is a resistance. I'd say it for the price point that it's at right now, it looks like it probably has a support at 80 cents, probably a resistance like we talked about at 90. So that can be a trade from 80 to 90. But based on this previous trend of hitting that resistance, seeing a downward trend to the lows of about 70 cents and then coming back up, that would be something, again, being patient and waiting for realistically. And even this RSI indicator shows that that was a better buy than actually jumping in at the moment. So with this, what is this? 10-day analysis, you could see that this RSI indicator actually identified that as a better buy than where it's at right now. This is actually, it actually shows it to be oversold. But again, we're day traders, so you can try to focus just on this. So that's why I said, buying it at the 80 cents necessarily isn't bad. But again, you are risking to stop lossing out below 80, because then if it drops below 80 cents, you'll most likely see it bleed back down to that 70 cent mark. You definitely don't want to write it down there. But then the potential from 80 cents to 80, 90 is obviously more than 10%. So again, manage your risk, set up a plan, cut losses short, and that's just it. Robinhood Daily Gain says, the only thing that I don't like about your channel is your intro. And that's actually something that I've been getting a lot. Not in a sense against changing it. Let me know what you guys think. I thought it was just something simple. So let me know what you guys would like to see. And again, people, and I've talked a lot about this, and then people are like, no, don't change, don't do anything for other people. But I want you guys to understand that I feel like I'm the voice, because there's channels, there's like vlogging channels and, like travel channels or whatever it is, and, review channels. And I'm pretty much a networking channel. So I think I have to approach this a little bit different. People say don't change, and I definitely don't want to change, but I'm trying to help people out or assist people in their success. And if they don't like something that I'm doing, that's totally fine. And I don't have to accommodate everyone else's wants. But if I can accommodate in the sense of an overall group's wants and desires, and it doesn't bother me and it doesn't go against any of my beliefs, then I don't see why that's a bad idea. So let me know what you guys would like to see. If you guys want to be part of my intro and want to film a couple clips and want me to, okay, now there's a bunch of people saying that my intro is fine, don't change it. All right, so I don't know what to do. You guys let me know. And you guys, again, I really don't mind. So intro is good. Okay, maybe we'll change it up. Maybe we'll keep it the same. Maybe we'll do both. But that's really just it, guys. 100%. Can't thank you guys enough for joining us and for taking time out of your Sunday. I know I say this like so many times, but I find it definitely a true blessing that you guys are willing, and time is something so valuable to me. And for you guys to dedicate so much of your time to me and to this group, it's amazing. And I'm actually going to start meeting, and I'm trying to schedule meetups with individuals and hopefully with a larger group later on down the road, especially now that it's going to be summer for me, because this week today is actually, I have a couple finals actually today, but it's going to be my last, I see bias of interest. It's going to be my last week for school. Then I'm going to have my summer. I do have plans to travel to Europe. So for all those people in Europe, if you guys want to meet up, message me, and I'd love to meet up with you guys. But the people here in the States, message me as well. I'm located again here in Arizona, but I'm traveling to California quite often, usually for business or for, in a sense, just to visit my family. So message me. I'd love to meet up with you guys, and I want to meet each and every one of you. I know that's not very realistic because now there's thousands of you, but I think you guys are so great, so supportive, and I can't thank you guys enough. Again, the best way, there's so many ways of, people always ask me like, what is it that I do to be successful? Or what is it, again, I don't consider myself The only thing that I consider myself that I've had a taste of success is actually this channel, and how I've had such a in a sense positive impact within people's life. That's the highest rate of success that I've been able to experience within my life. Everything else that I've accomplished, I really don't, in a sense, picture that as success. I picture that as, some good accomplishments, but definitely not success. The success that I take from my overall, in a sense, accomplishments is the positive impacts that I've had within this group and within this community, and the positive changes that I've been able to make in people's life, and letting them know that, look, now I can live a more financially free life. And just those simple words are just, how I've been able to change the life and, a system, and not living paycheck to paycheck, or a certain, if it's not day trading that's for you, don't let this be the only market that you choose to dedicate your time to. Just know that, again, the overall concept of what I'm trying to express is how important it is to learn, plan, and execute. You need to learn the market that you're getting yourself into, try to be the best, plan on how you're going to, in a sense, achieve the success, and then execute. It really comes down to those three simple things in anything you choose to pursue. When it comes to being the best student, when it comes to being the best worker, the best boyfriend, the best or girlfriend, right? Or the best trader, the best doctor, whatever it is that you want to do. Identify your motivation, learn, plan, execute. And I promise you, you will see a higher rate of success. And I really want to hear it. I really want to be a part of it. I wish I can meet each and every one of you guys. But again, overall, you guys keep saying biceps. You guys are ridiculous. All right, I'm going to go. I have to study for my finals for today. But that's really just it. Thank you guys again so much. I did want to introduce one last thing, so I hope I didn't lose too many of you. I wanted to introduce, I'm going to be starting every Saturday. It's going to be called The Making of a Millionaire, and it's something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So if you guys could subscribe, and it's going to be aside from actually day trading and actually just talking about investing, because I don't want to filter out those people that want to achieve success and just want to learn from best practices, and it has nothing to do with trading, because I know that's definitely not a market for everyone, and that doesn't have to be bad. But as long as you learn, as long as I can have a positive impact within your life, within these weekly talks that we might be having, and that's definitely something that I want to make sure that if I have the opportunity in doing so, to take advantage of that. So if you guys could subscribe and like this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. But other than that, hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note, and I'm super excited to work with each and every one of you, tomorrow market open. And if you guys want to be a part of TechBud Solutions, or want to follow me in my social media account as an Instagram and stuff like that, the link is provided for you down below, and I'd love to be a part of your success. Take care, guys.